Hello, YouTube. It's me, John Avenger, once again, and welcome back to Horrifying Movie Month. And now we're going to review a 1950s movie, I think, or 1940s, 1948 Universal monster comedy crossover with Dracula, the Wolfman, and Frankenstein, the Frankenstein's monster, and other characters in Abbott and Costello Meet Frankenstein, aka the Frankenstein monster. Now, I saw this a long time ago. I saw this back in like the 2000s because I'm a big fan of Abbott and Costello. I love their comedy sketches on TV. I thought their films are hilarious most of the time, and they definitely are comedy legends, a duo that cannot be replicated nowadays. And yeah, this one is one of their crossovers with they met Frankenstein, they met Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, they met the killer Boris Karloff, even though his name isn't Boris Karloff in the movie. And also, this was one of the crossovers that happened, after the Universal Monsters crossover with Frankenstein meets the Wolfman, Son of Dracula, House of Frankenstein, and all that, Ghost of Frankenstein, yeah, all of that. So this one was this is how you do it right, Universal, unlike the freaking Mummy that we got a few years ago. But yeah, this movie's a lot of fun. Like if you never heard of this, it's an old school movie. It's in black and white, no color. The opening credits is funny. It's like a cartoon where they're skeletons and they look at the Frankenstein monster and they scream. And then the opening is really really cool. It's atmospheric. The only one that doesn't come back is Boris Karloff. He was too busy doing another film, so they got Glenn Strange to play the Frankenstein monster. I noticed the difference because Glenn Strange's eyes are closed throughout most of the movie, so you wouldn't notice. And his voice is like, "Yes, master." It's like a more lower voice, and he's American, so. But it's still a decent performance. But you do have Bela Lugosi as Dracula, the one and only, the original, the OG Dracula in film, and this is the artwork. This is some of the shots where they want to take Lou Costello's head, brain, and put it in the monster's body. This is the poster. Awesome. I love old school movies that used to do posters that were cool. This film is full frame because back in the 40s they didn't have a lot of anamorphic widescreen black and white movies. But yeah, let me just read the synopsis. Abbott and Costello as railroad baggage clerks receive a strange shipment that the last remains of Dracula and Frankenstein's monster. But this deadly duo is still very much alive. So when the shipment arrives at the House of Horrors, the monsters are not in their crates but have disappeared to a secret hideaway island. Blamed for their disappearance, Abbott and Costello follow their trail to the island where not only do they meet up with Dracula and the monster, but a mad scientist, Charles Bradstreet, who wants to switch Costello's brain with that of a monster. With everyone chasing each other, the Wolfman, also the only Wolfman that counts, Lon Chaney Jr., not Benicio del Toro in that remake, shows up to scare them all. In the end, everything works out. Costello finds romance and the monsters find their final resting place, or do they? And also, there's a cameo at the end. Now, I don't want to spoil, but it's Vincent Price and he does a voice of a character, but I'll leave that to your imagination. I'll leave it ambiguous. But yeah, this movie is a lot. It's very funny. It's an old school movie, so it's not too long. It's only an hour and 23 minutes, so it's not 2 hours long. It doesn't take too long to get there. It doesn't have offensive humor like all the jokes that we get in comedies nowadays, where everything is a curse word, a sexual joke, a gay joke, or something, just something offensive. And I'm like, can't comedy be? I know it's subjective, but it can be funny again, like these movies were back in the day, and they still are today. The film costs about $792,000, thousand, not million, and it made 3 million. It's a massive hit, especially in June of 1948. Yeah, and it was the first of several films in which comedy duos meet classic monsters. Like I said, they also met the Mummy, and that was when Lou was, getting thin and getting sick. But it was still pretty funny. House of Dracula, yeah. In 2001, they deemed this film culturally historical, yeah, and Reader's Digest selected it as a movie as one of the top 100 funniest films of all time. This film is the 56 on the list of AFI's funniest American movies. It is. It's hilarious. If you want to see a monster movie with a lot of laughs, that's not currently like overly offensive or sexist or racist or like really disgusting, like some of the movies I've seen, this is definitely a comedy for you. And the cast is great. You also have the females. I don't want to forget about the women. I'm not a sexist. You have Lenore Albert as Sandra. She's also working with Dr. Frankenstein with Dracula to get the Frankenstein monster to come back to life. And you have Jane Randolph as Joan Raymond. You also have Frank Ferguson as Mr. McDougal and Vincent Price, but in an uncredited cameo. But you have to look it up. You'll definitely get a smile out of it. The Rotten Tomatoes gave this an 88%, a zany horror spoof that plays up and plays it to the best of the Universal horror cliches, and it does it well. It doesn't remake a genre that was done back in the 30s and the 40s. It makes fun of it, but in a respectable manner, not crapping on the legacy of these legendary actors that played these monsters. Even Glenn Strange, I give him some credit because he played the monster a lot after Boris Karloff retired from the role. I think after like Bride of Frankenstein, yeah. And is it scary? Depends on your point of view. Like if you have little kids, maybe they might be scared. I don't know with the creatures, but especially the Wolfman because he tears shit up and the makeup still looks creepy to this day. But it's not. It doesn't have any gore, so it's not Joker. It's not going to scare your kids off, and it's inoffensive and it's funny and it's really short. So if they can watch a black and white movie and you want to introduce them to this comedy duo, this is definitely the film for you. And if you love old movies like I do, I would suggest you watch this year for Halloween. I need to see this again. It's been a while. There's a lot of there's some special features on this. That's why I'm going to keep this DVD, but even if I get the box set because it's not bare bones. Never get rid of a DVD that has a lot of special features, especially if you like it. And this is a really good film. It's a real DVD. It's not a DVD-R. And yeah, it's funny. It's a very very clever, good jokes, great timing. Problems? Well, I don't know. I really don't. Some of the effects are a little bit dated, but I mean, it is from the 40s. You're not going to get like grand CGI bats and grand green screen backgrounds. It's all practical, but some of the effects look a little bit wonky. Like when the bat is flying, it's like a little toy bat. That looks cute, but then when Dracula becomes, he gets his cape out, it looks like a cartoon. It looks a little bit dated. So I would say that is a problem. Also, some of the characters kind of get underused. Like McDougal is barely in the movie. He's not in the film that much. And there's a lot of yelling. So if you don't like yelling in your comedies, and I don't mean yelling at each other like in something like Kevin Hart. I mean like Costello screams a lot in the movie, so that might not be for everyone, but it's still a very funny movie though, and it's worth it for Halloween. It's a horror comedy that's a classic. All the accolades it got, unlike some of the horror comedies from now. But thanks for watching, guys. I'll keep this one short. Watch it. It's a black and white movie, but they're great. Trust me. Lack of color doesn't mean lack of quality. But anyway, thanks for watching. Take care, and I'll see you in the next one.